This is Making Stitches. This week we're going down under with Jill from Gum Leaf Crochet, who told me all about finding her tribe through Crochet Online.
I tentatively joined Instagram. You know how you get on and you think, right, there's so much to learn, so much to try. I was like a kid in a candy shop. But along with that was talking to the people and finding more and more people on there who were more like me. More people who were injured or sick and, needed somewhere to be. So we would chat and talk about either our medications or how we cope, and as well as crochet. So it very quickly became a support system. I couldn't wait to wake up in the mornings to get on to see what had happened overnight.
Hello and welcome to Making Stitches. I'm Lindsay, and this week the focus is on crochet and community. 3 years ago, while recovering from serious injury and a period of ill health, Jill, a former nurse in Australia, found herself picking up a crochet hook and found not only a new hobby, but a whole new community as well. Not only does she create beautiful things, Jill's also begun dyeing yarn as well, and found deep friendship with like-minded people within her 14,000 strong following on Instagram. It took a bit of planning due to our different time zones, but very late one evening for me and rather early one morning for Jill, we managed to have a chat online. Isn't technology wonderful when it works? Well, the sound quality isn't perfect, I have to say, but I don't think that will affect your enjoyment of listening to Jill tell her story. Here it is now. First of all, Jill, welcome to Making Stitches. You've become my first guest from Down Under. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Lindsay. It's a real honour.
So just
all the way down from Australia.
That's right. Whereabouts in Australia are you?
I'm in the mid-north coast of a state called New South Wales in Port Macquarie. So on the eastern side, on the coastline, above Sydney.
Ah, yes. Looking at your Instagram, you share some beautiful videos of bird song in your immediate area, and there've been beautiful pictures of the coastline as well near you. Do your surroundings inspire you in your crochet?
They absolutely do. I just love nature, the plants and the animals so much. I love being among it because peaceful nature is what brings my creativity out and my inspiration. So the more I can get, the better. And just love sharing my life with little animals and birds. It's really special.
Now, how did you begin your creative journey? Because I believe it came a bit later on in life.
Well, I was always a crafter as a child. Can I tell you a quick story?
Please do.
When I was about, it might have been 8 years old, my next door neighbour where I used to live took me over to her place and decided she'd teach me how to make a granny square because she was big into all sorts of crafts. Anyway, so her name was Diane. And over the years, we'd lost touch. And then when I started crocheting again here, my first big project was the Atlanticus. And Diane, of course, got online and we reconnected. And then I started helping her with questions she had. And we were just both amazed. I said, the fact that I'm now helping my teacher, the student helping the teacher, it was really special. So we connected with that and we're friends again ever since in our crochet world. It's just so many special things have happened in this little crochet journey. So I'll get back to the start. I was always a crafter as a child, lots of sewing, had a go at crochet, knitting, macrame, lots of tapestry back then, just because I enjoyed sitting quietly and making something with my hands. Just the usual crafting at school. I would do a lot of cross-stitch and sewing when the children were little. made a few cardigans and jumpers for them. But as they got older, I got busier working. It went by the wayside. So what had happened was, throughout my career, I developed a back injury because I was a registered nurse, and I'd also had this underlying chronic illness that we didn't know what it was for my whole life. No one could figure it out. So I'd had a really rough decade. I had a back surgery, then trying to recover from that. This other chronic illness I had started rearing its head, and we began working out what that was. I had 4 surgeries to decompress compression around my nerves, around my neck. So by that stage, I was an absolute wreck. I was, just in a lot of pain, couldn't do much, bored and lonely and depressed. And the most upsetting thing for me was lack of purpose. So I tried knitting again, couldn't do it. The effect on my thoracic outlet syndrome wouldn't allow me to knit. So I thought, righto, I'll try crochet. And, it didn't go so badly. My niece and daughters had introduced me to Pinterest and Facebook, so that opened up a whole new world. I was blown away by the new version of crochet. The modern version, it was like, this isn't like it used to be. So that piqued my interest. Anyway, so I'd had my surgeries. I was sitting here on the lounge and I thought, right, they say you have to develop life number 2 because life number 1 has gone and it's not going to come back. It's not going to be the same. What's my life number 2 going to be? I have to do something. I was getting very disheartened with Facebook because of the way it just seemed to always be angry and a lot of stress and a lot of fighting on Facebook. Yeah. But I was also scared to join Instagram because as a 50-year-old, you think of Instagram as the selfie culture and it's like, oh, I don't really belong there. Anyway, what had happened was I joined the Australian Crochet Community on Facebook and discovered Hooked on Sunshine and saw that they had a cow coming up, so a crochet along. I thought, to heck with it, I'm going to join this, see how I go. I learnt all the stitches that I needed because I only knew the basics. Had YouTube beside me, went through the cowl, posted a few photos as I saw the ladies doing, and they were so nice. The ladies were lovely and so encouraging and helpful. Any questions I had, I thought, wow, I didn't know this existed. So finished the cowl and I was just so amazed by the positivity of the people after the decade I'd been through. It really lifted my spirits and thought, there's a whole new world out there that I didn't know existed. So I tentatively joined Instagram and followed all the crochet pages suggested to me and thought, look at all this work. Look at all this work. Look at all these things I need to try, and started chatting to people. And basically that was 3 years ago and it went from there. You know how you get on and you think, right, there's so much to learn, so much to try. I was like a kid in a candy shop, just going crazy. What can I learn? What can I try next? But along with that was talking to the people and finding more and more people on there who were more like me, more people who were injured or sick and needed somewhere to be. So we would chat and talk about either our medications or how we cope, and as well as crochet. So it very quickly became a support system, a group of friends. And look, I couldn't couldn't wait to wake up in the mornings to get on to see what had happened overnight. I just don't know how to describe the joy it brought to me, and that has continued to escalate 3 years later, and it's still going. It just gets better and better all the time.
You seem to have formed a real community around yourself. I mean, bearing in mind you've only been doing it 3 years, you've got a huge amount of followers on Instagram.
Well, I have formed a community because, like I wrote in my bio, I'm a bit of an enabler. I love to have the girls around me, chit-chatting, doing things together, especially when it comes to cow time. I always put out the word and say, all right, who's doing this one? And we've kind of formed a core group that does it all together. And the fun we have is just almost beyond a joke. We rally together and get through our cows. It just really adds some excitement into our otherwise quiet lives. And, yeah, I've made a lot of, I would say, deep connections with people all over the world. And it's because I utilise Instagram and crochet as it's my day. It's not only my hobby, it's kind of like my job. I've replaced a lot of things in my life that I could no longer do with crochet. I really used to enjoy a lot of exercise. So I would swim a lot up and down the line, the black line of the pool. That was like meditation to me. Can no longer do that, but then I find crocheting along is the meditative effect. So crochet picked up where a lot of things had to be put down. And like I said, I use it as a job, but not a serious job, but it's my thing to do throughout the day. Get some things up on stories, show some lovely highlights of my life around here, show what I'm up to, and I just chat to people all day long. It's just become my life, and it's a really nice life to have.
Absolutely. I think I can attest to the kind of the meditative qualities of crochet because, sometimes when everything's just getting too much, if you can just focus on that granny square or that, that row of trebles or whatever it is you're doing, it can absorb you and it just helps all the knots in your brain sort themselves out, doesn't it?
It does. You can start to process what's going on in your brain and calm it down and figure it all out, and then you feel a bit better. But also you have the bonus of producing something, because I was always a busy person and I loved an end result. So having that removed was a really very depressing factor of my life. So now to be able to produce an end result is really fulfilling. It's something I really needed. I didn't know where I was going to find that. So, crochet has taken me places I never would have imagined existed. Being an ambassador for the crochet zine, just the whole global connections. Also, another thing about it is you watch and learn from other people and see what they're making, and you think, I'll have a go at that. So, which is why I had a go at botanic dyeing. And then, of course, botanic dyeing is kind of like a gateway to acid dyeing. So now I've started that, and things that I would never imagine I would have done in my whole life.
Yeah, it's like you can disappear down a rabbit hole and not come out for weeks, isn't it?
Yes.
There's so many possibilities.
Yes, and how good is that? It just continues giving you something more to learn, because I'm a curious mind. I love to know how things work. I love to learn new things, because otherwise life gets stale. So, there's that aspect as well that has totally surprised me.
How amazing, and how wonderful that crochet and the wonders of the internet can bring people together all around the world, like yourself and, and me. At this particular
Absolutely.
moment in time, it's slightly bonkers, I have to say, but wonderful.
I know. I've got a friend in Sweden, and she said, I've got a spare cabin, come on over. And I said, oh my goodness, if I was well enough to fly, I would come and visit and catch up with a whole other bunch of girls while I was there. It's just, you start to get to know them, and over time you build a history like you do with any friendship. The fact that, when people put photos up that, a year ago today, it's like, oh, I remember that. And you remember things that they like and aspects about them. It's like, I'm really getting to know this person. There's a lot of account names that I automatically know their names, and as time has gone on and they're getting more game, putting photos of themselves up is something that's really important, because now I can visualise them when we talk. So that strengthens the bond even more, which I keep encouraging them, because I was shy too. It was a hard thing to do. But I think it's really important for our friendships, for those who want to go down that avenue.
Just looking at your Instagram feed, blankets feature an awful lot. It's funny how people kind of get drawn in one particular direction or another, amigurumi or mandalas or whatever it is. So what is it about blankets that appeal so much to you?
Okay, that's an easy one. My 3 children used to love getting on these little lounges that they had as kids and getting a blanket over them, being snuggled and watching TV. So it was all about the calming effect of snuggling under a blankie. So, and I do the same when we can, when it's not so hot here. So that was the thing that made blankets important for me. It's like, I want to make blankets, and while I'm doing it, I'm actually thinking of the person or the child that will be snuggled under that blanket. And what I would have done as a child is lay there and look at, say, the flowers or the pattern and feel the texture of the yarn. And so I have all those sort of things in mind when I'm making them, imagining the end user.
How lovely. Yes, it's especially if you're going to gift something to somebody, every stitch you're thinking of that person and how they're going to use what it is that you're making.
You really are. Yep. And
of course you've been involved in an appeal as well, revolving around blankets, haven't you? Do you want to tell me a bit more about that?
Sure. Yep. Last year, it was January the 1st, and I thought, right, what can I achieve this year? What little dream did I have that I could achieve? So Australia was going through a really severe drought, and even though I live on the coast, I enjoy the country, I say more, because out there is where all the geological structures are that excite me. So that kind of connects my respect for the farmers and what they do to produce our food, the hard work they go through, and the fact that they kind of get neglected and forgotten. So there was this fellow, there still is, who runs the Burrumbuttock Hay Runners, and he organises truckloads of bales of hay to take to farmers to feed their cattle in this drought that was, it was just devastating. So I thought, righto, what can we do, us crocheters, to help them out? I put the call out for granny squares, and I got over 850 granny squares. I got so much support to make up blankets that I was going to give to the Burrumbuttock Hay Runners for fundraising. So, because they do raffles and auctions and have events on to raise money to help bumper out to, truck the hay. I got through, now I've got 29 in total, and I did stitched 26 of those myself.
Wow. That's a lot of joining squares.
It really was. I did get burnt out because of my health problems. My nerve issue had enough. I felt really bad about it. However, what I had left over, I donated to the CWA, which is Country Women's Association. They also make blankets for those in need and do fundraising for farmers as well. So I thought that was appropriate. And then COVID hit. No, it was the fires first. We had the bushfires. Oh. I was just on the verge of trying to figure out getting the blankets transported down to a place called Burrumbuttock, which is quite a way away. The bushfires happened. So that was put on the back burner. The blankets were boxed up, put in our car because the fires were very close to us. So if we were to have to run, the blankets came with us. There was too much hard work. Too much hard work gone into those to let them go up in flames. So then the fires went on for months and months. You know, life was in turmoil. No sooner had the fires finished and COVID began. It's like, oh my goodness, I can't win a trick with these. Yeah, it's been crazy. So then, you know, with the isolating and distancing and shutdown of society, there's no fundraising going on and events. I have still got the blankets here and just in the process of working through with many of the ladies who donated. Some want to still try and get the blankets to help farmers. I'm waiting to hear back from a group who make up Christmas hampers for farmers' wives. If I can get in contact with them, I would happily donate the blankets to them so they can still go to the original purpose. Otherwise, I will give them to the Centre for Domestic Violence for the mothers and the children who come in. So that's still a work in progress because I'm really keen to get them out there and give them to people who would love them, just like my original plan. Yes. To wrap up in a hug and feel and look and smell, because they're all cotton, and they're just beautiful. They feel and smell so beautiful, and it would just be something nice for the people.
Absolutely.
So yes. We've nearly achieved that dream. Just got one more step to go.
Well, I think everything has been thrown in your way along the way, hasn't it, to try and stop you? But clearly the determination's there to see it through to the end.
It absolutely is. And that's probably one of the things about me is I am determined. As someone who's got an invisible illness, so I look fine. You couldn't tell what's wrong with me, but I suffer a terrible amount of pain and a lot of symptoms that happen all day, every day. But I am determined not to lay down and let it beat me because, our fighting spirit is we want to live, we want to achieve, we want to do something, and we want to belong. Crochet and Instagram has done all of that for me. And because it's online, it's in my time, it works really well for people with chronic illness and pain. I'm a huge advocate and my arms are open to anyone who wants to join along my little journey. I'm happy to chat about any of it. Being a registered nurse, I kind of know quite a bit about it and with personal experience. So, if I can find more people and just help one person to feel okay and, I'm here. I'm like a backbone, really. I'm kind of here for any crocheters who need to belong with someone who's not so well like themselves.
My word, what a determined lady Jill is. I found chatting to her so inspiring. If you'd like to see her work and follow her on Instagram, you can find her by searching for Gum Leaf Crochet. thank you, Jill, so much for finding the time to speak to me so early that morning. Well, while I'm saying thank you, I'd also like to thank CROCHET too for leaving a lovely 5-star review for Making Stitches on Apple Podcasts this month. CROCHET has joined Mrs. G Makes, Pearl, Yarnistry, Sock Knitter and Jutch, who've also left lovely reviews. Thank you all. If you've enjoyed listening to the podcast, I'd be really grateful if you could leave me a review too on your favourite podcast app, as it helps other people find the podcast more easily in future. I'll be back again in 2 weeks' time when I'll be sharing a chat I've had with Kathy, the very talented textile artist behind Dear Emma Designs. I'm very much looking forward to that. My name's Lindsay and this podcast was recorded and edited by me. You can also find me on my blog, Postcard from Gibraltar. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep safe and enjoy your crafting.